Hey, thanks for stopping by. Robert Kofed with Computer Creations, and today we're going to talk about the Bolt series from Thunder Laser and the differences between the entry-level Bolt and the Bolt Pro 22. I've got a unique opportunity here where I've used the Bolt for about a year. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Bolt and what it provides versus the Bolt Pro 22. One of the things that I will tell you, let's talk a little bit about the Bolt to start with. I've used this machine for about just a little bit less than a year. It's been a fabulous machine. I've done lots of engraving, lots of tumblers, lots of flat work, and it's really been a good machine. Some of the things that I would consider if you're going to use a Bolt is it comes with an 1.5-inch lens, and if you're primarily doing engraving, that's all you'll ever need. If you're considering doing some cutting, maybe 1/4-inch materials, I would certainly recommend that you either buy a 2 or a 2.5-inch lens to do that. Other than that, the machine's been great. This has got a 4-inch exhaust. Maximum speed on this is about 1,000 millimeters a second. Most of my engraving has been at 600 millimeters a second. And it's got 3G acceleration. And it's got a SPT 30 watt with a 30 watt output RF tube that's made in China. Compare that to either the Bolt Plus or the Bolt Pro. They have a 30 watt coherent tube that actually has, first of all, the coherent tube is made in the USA, and it's got a 40 watt output. So the Bolt entry level has got a 30 watt output. The Bolt Plus and the Pro have 40 watt outputs. That will make a difference when I show you some of the testing data that I've come up with. Another difference between the Bolt and the Bolt Pro is this has a 4-inch exhaust, this has a 6-inch exhaust. The Bolt has 1,000 millimeter maximum speed, where the Pro has a 2,000 millimeter speed. That's going to come into play when you see the differences in engraving speeds. The other difference, and I notice this quite a bit, is this has a 3G acceleration. This has a 5G acceleration. Well, what does that mean? It means how fast it ramps up to the engraving speed that you've set. So this is not only faster speed-wise, but it gets up to speed faster, shaving off some additional engraving time. Another big difference between the entry-level Bolt and, let's say, the Bolt Plus or the Pro, they both have air assist. The air assist on the Bolt is on the gantry, and you manually have to adjust it based on what you're doing, either cutting or engraving. The Bolt Plus or the Pro has a air assist control panel, just like the Nova series does. It's also got a digital air gauge, so you know kind of what you're doing for air. If you wanted to plug in external air on the Pro series, it's very easy. The access is very easy. The enclosure is all enclosed, and if you wanted to get a good tour of this Bolt Pro 22, I will post a link to my unboxing video for this machine, and I kind of give you a tour on the inside, around all 4 corners, what the back looks like, so you get a real good look on what this Bolt Pro 22 does. All in all, both fabulous, top quality machines. I really like where Thunder's headed in these machines. So let's get into the testing data, and we'll talk about cutting speeds between these two and engraving speeds when it comes to tumblers. Let's go check it out. So let's talk a little bit about cutting speed. This is 1/8-inch Baltic birch, or 0.11 for thickness. And just really wanted to be able to show you the difference in cutting speed between the entry-level Bolt and either the Bolt Plus or the Bolt Pro that has the 40 watt coherent tube. And so this material test card is from the Bolt. And this is actually the glass equivalent, so pay no attention to this. This is the 30 watt, and this is the 40 watt. And you can see that my test card, I've gone anywhere from 90% to 95%, and we started at 10 millimeters a second at the very bottom and went all the way up to 32. And what I tried to do is pick a big enough range where I could go ahead and get both test cards on the same piece of material, and that way it's fairly done. I also used the 2.5-inch lens on both of these machines, and so this is gonna be a great comparison for both this 1/8 inch and the 1/4 inch that I'm going to show you, of just the difference between the 30-watt SPT tube made in China compared to the 30-watt coherent tube that's made in the USA that has a 40-watt output. The 40-watt output tube is in the Plus and the Pro series, so just keep that in mind. And so you can see, if I just pick kind of an arbitrary spot, looks like on an average, I never ever go at the top. I usually always go one row back, because your densities in your wood are going to change. And so I never run it to the ragged edge, or you're going to get yourself into trouble with things not dropping out. But let's assume for a minute, based on all of these, it looks like a 20 millimeter per second speed for the bolt that has the 30-watt output is about what the maximum speed you're going to get when you cut 1/8 inch Baltic birch. Compare that over here with the coherent tube that's got the 40-watt output, whether it's the Plus or the Pro series. Again, you can see that we're probably down in the in the 27 to 25 range, and if you would take that average, you're looking at about a 25% faster cut rate from the entry-level bolt to the bolt series that has the coherent RF tube. That may or may not make a big difference if you're a busy business and you're doing a lot of cutting. 25% difference in your cutting speed could mean a lot of time saved over the course of a year. So that's the difference between 1/8 inch material. This is the Bolt, this is the Bolt Pro, and we see roughly a 20 to 25% increase in speed. Let's take a look at the 1/4 inch. Okay, let's take a quick look at the 1/4 inch material, which is really just 0.21. This is Baltic birch. This is the entry-level bolt that's got the 30-watt output. You can see that I've used the same scale for both cuts. We start at 8 millimeters a second and go to 14 millimeters a second, and we go from 90% power to 95% power. And you can see, again, on the entry-level bolt that's got the 30-watt output, we're looking somewhere between 8 and, you got 9.3 on this line and 8.7 on this line. So I'm going to say, 9 millimeters per second is probably a safe bet for cutting 1/4 inch Baltic birch on the bolt that's got the 30-watt output. Compare that to the Bolt Pro that's got the 40-watt output. Again, this is the glass equivalent. Pay no attention to that. The 40-watt output, you can see that we've got about, I'm guessing, probably 11.3, something like that. So you go from 9 to 11.3. Again, some of this is subjective, but we get about a 15% faster cut rate on the 1/4 inch. What's interesting to me is we've got a 25% increase in the 1/8 inch and 15% on the 1/4 inch. But still, 15% on the 1/4 inch using exactly the same lens is substantial enough that if you cut a lot of 1/4 inch ply, it can make a big difference in the amount of time it takes you to cut, a large cutting project. So keep that in mind. Far as the cleanliness of the cuts, really virtually no different in that respect. It's going to be easier to add exterior air on the Bolt Pro than it will be on the Plus or the basic bolt. So keep that in mind. And so, you know, if you take the average of this 15% and the 25% that we had on the 1/8 inch, I would say that, you know, a good honest comparison would probably be in that 20% range across the board. And that may or may not make a difference to you, but at least this way you guys can see what the differences are when you're cutting Baltic birch in the 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch thickness. The final product I want to test today is leatherette. I do a lot of leatherette, and so what I'm anxious to find out is, can I engrave the leatherette twice as fast on the Bolt Pro 22 as I can with the Bolt? Now, the RF tubes on these Bolt series does an absolute really good job on this leatherette, whether it's a regular leatherette or the metallic. I have found no problems engraving any leatherette products on either the Bolt, and we're going to see how well it does on the Bolt Pro 22. One thing I'm excited about, because typically you're going to use the full width of your bed, you can really ramp up the speeds. And so that's what I want to see today. How fast can I go and still kick out a quality product on the Bolt and the Bolt Pro? I already know that I should be able to create some leatherette patches on the Bolt at anywhere from 600 to 800 millimeters a second. But what am I going to be able to do on the Bolt Pro 22 with its maximum speed of 2000 millimeters per second? Remember that this is a 12 by 24 sheet, and I'm going to have to cut it down because on the Bolt, it's 12 by 20 is workspace. And so I'm going to engrave a row of logos on the Bolt, and then I'm going to engrave that same row of logos on the Bolt 22, and let's see what the comparison is and see how they look. Just wanted to bring up a couple of things while we watch these two lasers engrave the leatherette. One thing that I've really been happy with the Bolt for this last year, and it looks like the Bolt Pro is going to be no different. You notice how well the exhaust system works on both of these lasers. It moves it right to the back of the machine quickly, and you will see here when we're done that there is virtually no residue on the leatherette patches at all. Just a quick wipe down. You don't really even need to use anything to clean them. They're pretty clean, as you'll see here in just a few minutes. But the exhaust fans on these bolts, they're inline fans. They're very quiet, and I think they're properly sized. So you don't have to worry about buying any third-party fans with either one of these lasers. Like I said, very clean patches. As long as you get your settings right and your air calibrated right and using the right lens, you will have it. It'll be really nice. So let's see. This looks like this is going to be 3 minutes and 38 seconds for the Bolt Pro. And you'll see what the quality is. I could have bumped up the power just a little bit on the Bolt Pro settings. Still trying to dial those in, but you can see they're really nice and clean. And let's watch the Bolt finish up. Like I said, this last year with this Bolt has been really good. I've used it just about every day, and it's almost been just a year within a couple weeks, and it's been a great machine. Okay, it looks like the Bolt's all finished up. Well, let's take a look at the quality. And you can see it doesn't get much better than that. Very little to no residue. And that was 5 minutes and 47 seconds. Well, here's the test results of the Leatherette engraving on both the Thunderbolt and the Thunderbolt Pro 22. The top row is the Thunderbolt 22. I did it first. And the settings for that were 1800 millimeters a second at 70% power. I will tell you that the bolts are a little bit brighter. I probably should have jumped up the power to 80%. Like I said, I just haven't done but no engraving on this Bolt Pro, so I guessed at it. And I do need to jump up the power a little bit, but it wouldn't affect the speed in any way. So that's why you see a slight difference between the two. 1800 millimeters a second, 70% power, 254 lines per inch, 2.5 lens, in focus. These are all 3" by 2" patch, and I did 6 of those, or this top row, in 3 minutes and 38 seconds, which is roughly 36 seconds a patch. Compared to the Bolt, which is the bottom line, at 900 millimeters a second, 80% power, I do a lot of engraving on it for patches on Leatherette at that speed. 254 lines per inch with a 2.5" lens, and it took 5 minutes and 47 seconds for the 6 patches, which is just at 59 seconds compared to 36 seconds, so not quite twice as fast. But I'm tickled. This is going to be great. As many Leatherette patches as I do, this will really buy me some time over the orders. And so there you have it. That's what you're looking at. Remember that the Bolt 22, you can fit a full-size Leatherette patch inside. You don't have to cut it down. And I hope this information helps you out. Well, there you have it. It's a good comparison between the Bolt and the Bolt Pro series, between the SPT tube that's got the 30-watt output and the coherent tube that's got the 40-watt output, and the differences you're going to see either in cutting wood or engraving tumblers. And so I hope this information was helpful. I really appreciate you hanging in there with me. If you have an opportunity, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We're over 31,000 subscribers now. Let's keep growing. If you have the ability, hit that thanks button and contribute to the channel. I really appreciate it. And if you'd want more content like this, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to check out the unboxing video. I'll put a link in the description below. Until next time, thanks and have a great day.